Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad, this is my channel, Adam Orange, and welcome to another Metal Earth Premium Series build, or Iconics as they used to call it. Today we are going to start putting together this big thing, the Peacock. Bit of an older model. I've actually had this since one or two Christmases before the pandemic started, and I'm just now getting around to it for whatever reason. No particular reason, I should say. This is going to end up being a two-part video where we build this, so without too much delay, let's get started. Alright, let's open up the Metal Earth Peacock here with the older style packaging. Got to cut the tape here on the corners. My giganto knife. It's a bit more than a cut there, isn't it? Way to go, Brad. Let's just similarly destroy this tab so we can get into the packaging. And there we go. And there's the pull tab. And oh, look at the color. And oh, yay! We've got a couple of sheets for the instructions. We've got a complimentary pair of tweezers. Looks like that's the flat end, so I'll add that to my collection because I have a few. And then we have the tray with the sheets. There's a little bit of tape right there. Usually is. Help hold things in place. Very, 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 very colorful sheet. I've had this for a while and I've been looking forward to it. The second very colorful sheet, but even more so on the other side. Look at that. Protective paper to keep them from scratching each other. Nice bit of detail. We have a third very colorful sheet. Put that over there, and then we have, looks like a half sheet, also colorful. Not quite as colorful, but you know, it's good. Put that over here. Get this out of the way. We're going to take a quick peek at the instructions. For anybody who's not built these models before, or not built the Premium or Iconic series before, we'll go over the instructions somewhat briefly to give you an idea of what's going on. I don't want to spend too much time. If you're familiar with this process, and skip ahead a few minutes. Here we go. I got the first sheet here, folded it in half, because these are the tall instructions, not the wide instructions. But folded it in half, starting at the top. Looks like they folded it in an odd point. I wonder if that was a mistake. Anyway, we've got the Metal Earth and Iconics logo. The Iconics logo is being phased out, but I've had this model for a little while. We've got an outline drawing of the completed model. We've got a sample part with notations on slots, fold lines, and tabs. Tabs go into slots. That's how these things are held together. And fold lines are pre-scored areas to assist in folding and shaping the parts. If we look, here's the front engraved side of the sheet. The back side, no, there's actually not really any sample right there. Let's try another one. Back side. There's not a whole lot of fold lines in this model. So anyway, moving on. Just embarrassed myself. I don't think there's a lot of folding. I think it's mostly just kind of curving and slightly bending. Anyway, we've got the legend down here. E points at the engraved side or section of the part. Again, the engraved or colored side would be the side with the coloring and the detail, not the back side that's more plain. And then we have the non-engraved side, which would be that back plain side with no color and less detail. Got the attention point here, and basically these are going to show you which way to orient the part when you're putting things together. That's why they're there. Got the attention point here. If that shows up, it's usually trying to get you to pay attention to how things are aligned when you put them together, though there can be other things, and sometimes there's notation with it. Just pay attention to that area, how things are, so that you're putting them together correctly. We've got the blue circle and the green triangle here. These are indications of what to do with the tab. You see the blue circle, you insert the tab in the slot, you fold it over 90 degrees. You see the green triangle, when you insert the tab in the slot, you twist it instead of folding it. The twisted tabs are more secure, but they're not as clean looking. They also are not as tidy, as in If you have parts layered on top of other parts, the twisted tab is going to keep you from doing that. With a folded tab, lays down flat, and you can put parts close together on top of each other. So there's reasons some are one way and some are the other. We have assembly tips if needed, slightly twist tabs to hold parts together, then untwist and bend them down for a nice finish. I've had to use that trick a number of times when there's larger parts or delicate parts that have several connection points. You want to do light twists on the tabs until you get everything together, or the part is flimsy at this point. There's not much supporting it, and if you try to push the fold, you might just collapse the entire thing. So a lightly twisted tab will help hold it together until you've got things more secure and stable. You can go back and untwist and fold those parts or those tabs over. Below that we have the metal sheets. It says there's a foam sticker. That must be in here. This is new. Ta-da! I have not seen a foam sticker before. Nice of it to destroy the instructions slightly. We'll figure out what that's for in time. Probably something to do with the base. We have the small metal sheet. We have the 3 larger metal sheets. These are just basically outlines of the metal sheets so that you can find the parts that you need for your build. Let's see, what sheet have I grabbed here? Looks like I may have grabbed sheet B. Here's the outline of this sheet. You'll notice most of the parts are just outlined, just clear. There are a couple that have highlighted colors inside of them. You'll notice there's a bit down here, more so over here, a little bit up here. The highlighted, or yeah, the parts that are highlighted in are duplicate parts. There's not a lot in this model. We have 2 part 3s here, whatever that is, a couple of parts over here. Those are duplicate parts. They do that. It's not as big a deal with this model since there aren't as many duplicates, but it makes finding those duplicate parts easier, and you only have to number 1, and it saves on crowding up this space. This, however, is a model full of large pieces and not many duplicates, so that's really a non-issue, but that's their method of how they do the kits now, and I appreciate that on most of their models. But if we go to the bottom half of this page, we've got the assembly steps starting here, page 3, which is basically the bottom quarter. We've got step 1. We find part 1, which is on sheet A. If you go back, you notice there's sheet A, B, C, and D. So you want to look A, you want to find 1. Here it is. There's the part. We clip that out on the metal sheet, obviously not the piece of paper, and give it a bit of a curve in the middle, and then the 2 sides fold over and connect with folded tabs. You end up with the head here, and then looks like there's some curvature shaping on the bottom, and then E. There's just part E. So it looks like this is something that they haven't done very often. No, never mind, I'm sorry, it's part 2 on sheet C, and it folds in half. And it's, I guess this is basically telling you to make sure the engraved side is facing outwards when you fold it over, rather than folding the colored or engraved side inside. It's nice of them to tell you. That attaches here with twisted tabs. You end up with that. And that's the gist of it. Step 2, find the part. Here's the part. Here's where it's oriented. The engraved side's facing, this way. We've got part B, part 4 on sheet B here. That connects with folded tabs. Part 5, that connects. Curve this around, end up with that. And do that twice, so you have to do this assembly twice. Step 3, we've got part 6. It looks like that. We curve it into this shape. We've got the 2 step 2s here that attach to the bottom, basically the feet. We've got part 7. This attaches to that. You end up with this part. So, real quick rundown of how this flowchart works. You just pull out the parts, you shape them as they say, you connect them as they say, and the thing starts to come together. You get to the bottom down here, we go over to page 4, which is actually a quadrant. Step 5, follow the arrows, assembling the parts, and then once we're done with that, we're going to have to flip it over, and in my instance, fold it inside out to do step 7, step 8, step 9, step 10, down here for 11, 12, 13, 14, and then we'll want to open up the other sheet of instructions, find 15, 16, 17, 18, and continue on through this sheet until we're done with the model. Let's take a moment to talk about tools. You're going to want some basic tweezers and or pliers to help bend and shape and manipulate the pieces of this model. And I've got a variety of things here that I use. Some precision tweezers, some more basic tweezers with different angles on the end, and I've got long nose pliers and flat nose pliers. I've used a variety of these in my build. Pick up whatever tweezers or pliers you see fit. Maybe you have some around the house, maybe head to your local Harbor Freight, or look for something on eBay or online. Another basic accessory I feel that you're going to need is some sort of flush or side clippers to clip the parts out of the sheet. You can bend and twist them out, but you have a high risk of damaging parts. I've had a variety of different clippers. These are the ones I'm using right now. They're Play-Doh. You can even use nail clippers from the store. They have some that cut at an angle. You can find clippers in all kinds of hardware stores or jewelry stores. Just find something to help you clip the parts out cleanly. Tweezers and pliers are going to get you so far, but there are a lot of curved and cone shapes in these builds, and there's a variety of things that you can use, and I've used a variety of things. You can find dowel rods at your local hardware store. You can find step mandrels at any jewelry shop or hobby shop. You can take dowel rods and sharpen them with a pencil sharpener to get cone shapes. I've even used marbles and beads to make rounded or dome shapes. I've gone so far as to even 3D print some of my own tools to help me with shaping. And if you're interested in these, see my description for my Etsy store, but you can find things around the house to help shape parts. I've used cheap drill bit sets, I've used medicine bottles, I've used glue sticks, I've used pens, pencils, I've heard of people using spoons. Find whatever you can to help shape these things, or go out and look at jewelry stores or craft stores for specialty tools to help you shape things. Another specialty tool that you occasionally see me use, and I've used bits of this in this build, is a clay sculpting set. It's a whole set of different shapes, different end shapes, things that I can use to push on the inside of models or pull. Hooks are good for pulling. To bend tabs over, push them over, pull them over, to push on flat spots on the inside. Maybe something's not lining up and you need a long tool to reach in to push things around and make it line up. They have odd uses, but they come in super handy on the rare occasion. You can find something like this on Amazon or online. Just search clay sculpting tools. Alright, we've talked a little bit about tools. I've got my basic sets to get me started. Clippers, pliers, tweezers. Got my sheets over here. I'm going to organize things a little bit and we'll get started putting this model together. We've got some parts clipped out. Now to start with shaping the head. I've got the head assembled. Now I need to open it up a little and give it some shape. It's too flat. It took me a little bit to figure out how the feet fit together. You have to bend the ends of parts 3, 4, and 5, mostly 4 and 5, a little less than 90 degrees to get things lined up. The instructions indicate to fold over the tabs, and that would be a cleaner look, but I didn't want anything slipping out of place, so I twisted the upper one. This piece was fighting back. Got to straighten those tabs so that they both point in the same direction towards the next connection, or they will not line up with the slots. You may have noticed that there is a fair amount of layering going on here. This is very much how the rest of the build is going to go. As the pieces got smaller and the tabs closer, I had trouble getting them into their slots. A little sideways bend solved the problem. This tab kept bending out of place. Like I said before, the smaller the part, the closer the tab, the more difficult the alignment with the slot. This part was troublesome, but I kept with it.
Now to get the head to fit over the neck area. This took some stretching. There were several back and forth cycles of stretching, adjusting, and trying to fit the part. I cut some of that out. Hopefully though, you get the idea. A little fine tuning. I realized that I should not have closed part 21. At least I should have closed it around part 20, not before adding part 20. Getting all 4 tabs to line up with their slots is tricky.
And that brings us to the end of part 1 of this build. We've gotten a fair amount of the body put together, and this stand here is put together. Next up is going to be a lot of feathers. A lot of feathers, but it's not as bad as you may think. Stay tuned, and we'll have part 2 up soon if it's not up already. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep on keeping on.